So, what are the new and enhanced penalties that are included in the Sexual Offences Bill 2024? That's what we will cover in this video. So, the current legislation that has been introduced promises stronger and tougher penalties to combat sexual violence and provide that critical part of the criminal justice system that is called deterrence for the would-be offenders. So let's look at, for example, the first penalty that is in there, which is life imprisonment for rape and aggravated defilement. Under this new bill, life imprisonment is now the maximum penalty for severe crimes like rape and aggravated defilement. And this is, remember, not just about punishment. It's about sending a very strong message that Uganda cannot tolerate sexual violence of any nature to anyone. Now, away from that, we need to look at some key offenses and penalties that are included in this legislation. So beyond life imprisonment, the bill includes specific sentences for various sexual offenses. For example, sexual exploitation can lead up to 15 years in prison, while the action that is included in there, for example, if you commit a sexual act in the presence of a child, I repeat, if you commit a sexual act in the presence of a child, or you cause another person to engage in that very sexual act in the presence of a child, or in a place where he or she can be observed by a child, then you commit an offense that is liable on conviction to imprisonment for 10 years. Now, this could be something you need to be interested in. This law, the one that has been presented, it prohibits sexual acts with prostitutes, and I want to quote it verbatim. A person who engages in a sexual act with a prostitute commits an offense and is liable on conviction to 2 years. Any sexual act with a prostitute receives a punishment of 2 years according to this law. It further talks about householders that permit defilement within their premises and speaks of punishment that goes up to 5 years. You have a household and defilement happens in there, yes, you'll be receiving your due. It talks about things like child grooming, where a person does any act intended to secure the trust and cooperation of a child for the purpose of engaging in a sexual act. Yes, you will face the music of the law if you go to that. And I think it's important to note that there's a bit of a difference between the previous penalties and the new stricter penalties that have been proposed by this law. Now, the idea is that the moment you enhance penalties, then it creates stronger fear within those who would have had the thought of doing it, of engaging in sexual acts. And I entrust you to read this specific legislation. Just go to the Parliament Watch website, type Sexual Offences Bill 2024, and you will see you'll see what you're able to know that is coming up. And this bill has a very, very high likelihood of getting through the floor of Parliament. So I highly encourage us to ensure we know what is in this legislation, because if we don't, we could find ourselves, yes, under the curtain of punishment for the penalties that are prescribed in this legislation.